Bonjour! DELF B2 is around the corner. Do you need some guidance and practice with your oral? If you do, then this video is for you. This oral comprises a presentation based on a text and a debate. And today, I will show you how to go about it with an example. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! Before we start with the actual oral, I would like you to spend some time thinking of the preparation. What will you do during your 30 minutes? It sounds like a lot, 30 minutes, but trust me, it's not. Because you'll have quite a few things to do. So the first one is to read the text. Remember, you're going to have two texts which you would have drawn, and you look at quickly the title of each text and you'll have to choose one. Then take notes. Take notes could be notes of the vocabulary, ideas you have, anything which is of importance to you, write it down. And then of course write down your ideas, because the text is going to come up with some themes or some ideas which you will want to write down straight away before you forget. During that time, you'll be making a structure, and your structure is going to have an introduction, a development, and a conclusion. In your introduction, I would like you to identify the theme. And very often you find the theme already in the title, so that can help. Then you'll have to summarize the text, and I will show you how to do it in a minute. Then you will have to identify the question which is going to constitute really the theme, or shall I say the main theme of your work. Okay, so which question are you going to raise? And finally, you'll need to say what you will be discussing, what you will be talking about, and how. So, to help you with the introduction, I need to show you the text so that you can see how it can be done. So, this is one I selected, which is called Peut-on vivre sans télé? So, I'm going to read it first, and you're going to read it with me and make notes as I read. 2 à 3% des Français refusent d'avoir la télé chez eux. Qui sont ces réfractaires du petit écran? Bertrand Bergier, sociologue, professeur à Nantes et à l'Université catholique de l'Ouest, à Arradon, a mené une enquête pour le découvrir. En se lançant à la recherche de ces gens, Bertrand Bergier pensait découvrir une espèce en voie de disparition. En fait, il a trouvé une espèce en voie de développement. Ce sociologue a enquêté auprès de 566 ménages et il en a tiré les grands types. D'abord, ceux qui refusent la télé parce qu'elle symbolise la perte des valeurs ou parce qu'elle est considérée comme un outil de manipulation politique, souligne-t-il. Ensuite, ceux qui considèrent que la télé est dépassée, ce sont les adeptes de l'Internet, les 25-35 ans. Enfin, les héritiers nés avant 1955 qui n'ont jamais vu chez eux la télé et n'ont pas eu envie de s'équiper. So very quickly, I'm going to give you some vocabulary in case you don't know it. In the first line, you have qui sont ces réfractaires du petit écran? In case you don't know what petit écran means, it's just another way of saying television. Okay, as opposed to grand écran, which is the cinema. Mener une enquête, which is in the second and third line, a mener une enquête. Mener une enquête means to carry out a survey. That is very important because that's what the whole text is about, is that particular survey. Then you have une espèce en voie de disparition, which is in the second paragraph. Okay, so Bertrand Bergier pensait découvrir une espèce en voie de disparition. That means a dying species. Okay, and then later on, we're going to have in the second paragraph towards the end. Ensuite, ceux qui considèrent que la télé est dépassée, dépassé means out of date. So this is the vocabulary you need to know to understand, to really understand that text. So now I'm going to show you how to go about the introduction by showing you or sharing with you my little technique, and that will be in the black slide, and then in the colored one you're going to see what I would say, and that will be my example. So the first thing we're going to do is to identify the theme. And the way we're going to start, we could say, I have chosen to deal with so and so. J'ai choisi de traiter le sujet intitulé, and then you put the title of the text, publié, blah, blah, blah. You say where it's been published, and le thème de ce texte est. As simple as that. You can just say that. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to think of the theme. So very quickly, I'm going to put the text back so that you can think of the theme, okay, the title, the source, and the theme. So don't waste too much time. You know that the title is right at the top, and you know that the source is right at the bottom. So straight away, your eyes would know for the title and source where to go. And for the theme, you basically have it in the title. So this will be done very quickly. Don't waste time. My version now. J'ai choisi de traiter le sujet intitulé « Peut-on vivre sans télé ?» Il s'agit d'un texte tiré de telegram.com dans lequel nous apprenons que la télévision n'est pas présente dans tous les foyers. So, after you mention the title, the source, and the theme, it's time to think of a summary. How are you going to summarize the text? Well, one possibility is to start with l'auteur explique, or l'auteur raconte, or l'auteur affirme. But have you noticed, I haven't said l'auteur dit que. I don't like the verb to say. I'm not saying that you cannot use it, but I personally don't like it. You could also say selon and then the author's name, blah, 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 which means according to. Read the text again, this time to look at the ideas so that you can summarize the text. What would you say? Write the key words down on your paper. This is my version. En effet, selon Bertrand Bergier, sociologue, 2 à 3% de personnes n'ont pas de télé. Et à sa grande surprise, ce chiffre ne cesse d'augmenter. D'abord, il parle de personnes pour lesquelles la télé ne répond pas à leurs valeurs et est perçue comme manipulation politique. Puis, il qualifie la télé de dépassée pour se référer aux adeptes de l'Internet, dit-il. Les jeunes de 25 à 35 ans qui préfèrent l'ordinateur. Enfin, il mentionne les plus âgés, nés avant 1955, qui n'ont jamais voulu acheter de télé car ils n'ont pas grandi avec. So as you can see, I have 3 ideas. Even if you can't see the ideas, I have underlined 3 connectors, which suggests that there are 3 ideas. D'abord, first of all, puis, then, enfin, finally. When you've summarized the text, you need to identify the question you're going to be dealing with. So, what question have you chosen? Think about it. What is the question you have raised? And the question is your problematique. Problematique, I know it's got the word problem, but it's not really a problem. It's really the question that you are going to raise. So this is my version, and I remind you that the text is Peut-on vivre sans télé? Can we live without television? So this is what I've written for you. Le titre du texte sera notre problématique. Il serait donc intéressant de s'attarder sur ce que nous gagnons à regarder la télévision. Here, I used the same problematic or the same question which was in the title, but it's not good to just reuse the title. So what I have done, I added, il serait donc intéressant de s'attarder sur ce que nous gagnons à regarder la télévision. What do we gain by watching television? That's how I put it. To say what you plan to talk about is very important. So what you're going to say is pour répondre à la question, to answer the question, nous verrons dans un premier temps, blah, 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 dans un deuxième temps, blah, blah, blah. So basically, you are saying, first of all, I will do this, then we'll do that, and so on. The plan is very, very important because you will see that your examiners will be writing down your plan because they will check later on whether or not you stuck to it. And if you didn't stick to your plan, you will definitely be penalized. So be careful. So this is my version. My version is pour ce faire, which means to do so. Pour ce faire, nous verrons dans un premier temps les bénéfices d'avoir la télé. Dans un deuxième temps, nous étudierons les inconvénients de la télé. Puis, nous donnerons notre avis sur lequel de ces aspects l'emporte. I would like to draw your attention to several points. The first one, the use of nous. Have you noticed I didn't say je? It's better to say nous than je. Je, I will use it when I'm going to talk about personal examples. Then I used the future. Nous verrons, nous étudierons, nous donnerons. So you have to make sure that you have an ONS sound, on, when you use the nous. In case you don't remember your future because you want to use a verb which is very irregular, but you can't remember the stem, then what you need to do is to resort to the immediate future. That will work very well too. But of course, I would prefer the future tense, the simple future tense. When you do this part, which for you may not be very important, but in fact is very, very important, because at that point, you will see that the examiner is going to write down your 3 parts. What you say you will be talking about. And later on, he or she is going to see if you did stick to your plan. And if you didn't, you will be, of course, penalized. So that is very, very important. So the first thing I'm going to do is to talk about the advantages of having a TV, then the disadvantages, and finally, I'm going to, as I said, we'll give our opinion and we'll see if television has more advantages than disadvantages or vice versa. That's basically my plan. My plan is basically my development. So let's go through it. So as I said before, my first part will be about advantages, and my second part disadvantages, and then we're going to have both parts, and we're going to decide which one is, well, if the TV has more advantages than disadvantages or vice versa. Now, what you see in front of you is something you can keep for any plan that you are going to use, especially if the question is yes or no answer. Okay, so think about advantages and disadvantages, and you can keep that all the time. So now think about your first part. The first part is advantages. Write down at least 3, and I'll always go for 3 and possible examples as well. Okay? So think about it. What are the advantages of using or having a TV at home? I'm going to share with you my first part, but before that, I need to tell you that whenever you see the red color, it's going to be an advantage. So my first part is going to have 3 advantages, therefore 3 red colors. Tout d'abord, nous allons parler des bénéfices d'avoir la télévision. Pour moi, la télé est une source de divertissement. Il y en a pour tous les goûts. Des programmes, des films, des émissions sportives, etc. Et maintenant, avec le câble, on a accès à des centaines de chaînes qui offrent toutes des divertissements variés. On peut tomber sur des programmes très instructifs selon la chaîne. En outre, pendant le confinement, le ministère de mon pays a fait diffuser à la télé des cours animés par des professeurs. Ceci a permis à ceux qui n'avaient pas accès à Internet de suivre leurs cours. So this is my first advantage. So divertissement is the key word here, entertainment. En plus, la télé peut nous permettre de passer du temps en famille ou avec des amis. Une famille peut regarder un film ensemble et en discuter après. Cela peut souder une famille. This is very short, but I wanted to show you in red mon premier argument. So you can spend time with the family, and then I give you a little example how you can do it. Well, everybody watches a film together and then we discuss the film afterwards. And that can bond a family. So that is what I mean by argument plus example. Now, the third advantage. Un autre avantage est d'avoir accès aux nouvelles locales. Par exemple, pendant la pandémie, c'était important pour moi de savoir ce qui se passait dans mon pays. Je suivais les nouvelles tous les jours et bien sûr, se tenir informé de ce qui se passe dans le monde. Comme maintenant, avec la guerre en Ukraine, c'est bien la télévision que je regarde pour voir ce qui se passe. So here, I'm giving you an example. I'm talking about my country, the country where I live. And I put c'était important pour moi. So it's a very personal example. And I even said before, par exemple. Okay? So that shows the difference between the nous and the je, which I mentioned before. Let's move to the second part, which is about disadvantages of television. So this is my version. I could have started by saying, maintenant, nous allons passer à la deuxième partie, but I just decided to go with cependant, however. So if you say however, we know that whatever you're going to say will be different. OK? Donc, cependant, la télé présente également des inconvénients, voire des dangers. Nous avons dit qu'il y avait des centaines de chaînes à la télé, si on a le câble, mais nous aimerions ajouter que la qualité des programmes laisse souvent à désirer. De plus, la plupart des chaînes passent trop de publicité. Un film qui dure 1h30 se regarde en plus de 2 heures parce que les films sont coupés et sans avertissement. Cela peut être très frustrant. So, the second advantage, aussi, la télé peut être un obstacle à la communication. Par exemple, si on invite des amis, on ne peut pas discuter si tout le monde est absorbé par la télé. Donc, j'éteins toujours la télé lorsque je reçois à la maison. Here, I would like to draw your attention to something which I have done. Here, I have put on invite and then j'éteins. Par exemple, so obviously it's my example, I use on because I wanted to use the English one. If one invites friends, one cannot discuss if everyone is engrossed in television. Donc, and then I moved from on to je to talk about my personal experience, and I say, therefore, okay, because I want communication, I want people to be talking and not watching TV. So what do? J'éteins toujours la télé. I always switch off television lorsque je reçois à la maison, when I have guests at home. Now, my last disadvantage, and as you can see, it's a bit longer because for me it's more important. De plus, la télévision présente de sérieux dangers. Il est important de souligner la montée de la violence et du sexe. Voir quelqu'un se faire tuer par un pistolet est devenu banal. Une telle violence se manifeste parfois par des tueries, comme on l'a vu dans des écoles aux États-Unis. Je pense que certaines personnes fragiles sont influencées par ce qu'elles voient et la télé peut être un bon exemple. Il faut le dire, la télé donne souvent des idées et malheureusement pas toujours de bonnes. So in this part, I am talking about dangers, the dangers which we can have because of television. Okay, so this is my third and last part, or section, shall I say, of the second part. So now we're going to move to the last part, which is notre synthèse. So for the last part, you still need to give a balance, okay? So I'm going to start with the advantages and disadvantages and then give my opinion towards the end, you will see. À mon avis, c'est bien d'avoir la télé pour se tenir informé en priorité et se divertir. Mais je dois avouer que je passe peu de temps devant la télé. En effet, il y a un autre petit écran qui est connecté sur Internet, mon ordinateur. Dès que l'on est connecté sur ordinateur, on peut avoir accès aux nouvelles et aux divertissements, car nombreuses chaînes de télé se trouvent également en ligne. Il existe d'autres plateformes comme Netflix par exemple, qui offrent des films selon les goûts du spectateur et en plus, sans publicité. La concurrence est bel et bien là. Donc, on peut se passer de la télé, mais je ne me vois pas avec un salon sans télé. Il faut penser au moins à sa famille. So, in the last part, I talked about the advantages, disadvantages, and then I said that I can live without TV because I have a computer. However, I can't imagine myself having a living room without a TV. That's basically what I said, because I said you have to think of your family. You probably can live without the TV, but what about the others? So that was my personal view. Now, for the conclusion, nothing new should come into your conclusion. Your conclusion is just to wrap up the whole thing. So you cannot have anything new. However, there's, I would say, 3 elements in your conclusion. First, résumer le développement. So you have to summarize what you said in the first and second and third parts. Then you need to talk about your viewpoint again, so that the examiner can write it down, because it's going to be part of the debate. And then élargir le débat is basically include, it means that you're going to include a question in there, so that you can have a debate which is a little bit more interesting, shall I say. And you can start your conclusion by saying en guise de conclusion or pour conclure. Okay, these are the 2 expressions I can think of now. Pour conclure, nous voudrions rappeler que la télévision est un outil avec ses avantages et inconvénients. Comme nous l'avons dit, elle peut divertir et souder une famille et en même temps engendrer de la violence. So you remember that I did say that it's a source of entertainment, so divertir. It can bond a family, but at the same time, it can generate violence. Okay, so I put all this in basically one sentence just to talk about advantages and disadvantages. And as you can see, violence is the one which I used, even though I had 3 other disadvantages, because it was the most important one for me. But you could obviously use something else. Then I'm going to remind the examiner of what my view is, so that he or she can start the debate. Personnellement, je regarde très peu la télé car je suis souvent sur l'ordinateur et j'ai accès à Internet. Cependant, la télévision smart a l'avantage de se connecter sur Internet. Par conséquent, on peut faire les deux, c'est-à-dire être à la fois sur Internet et devant la télé. Je pense que la télévision a toujours sa place, mais pour moi, je peux m'en passer tant que j'ai mon ordinateur connecté à Internet. So here basically my viewpoint is very clear. I can go without TV, but I do say as long as I have my computer connected to internet. If I don't have a computer connected to internet, then I will have to watch TV. Okay, so I know that with this, the examiner is going to probably come up with a question regarding that little part. Okay? Okay, to open up the debate, I came up with something which I do believe. L'idéal pour moi serait d'avoir des chaînes de télévision du monde, ce qui me permettrait de pratiquer d'autres langues étrangères. So what I'm saying here is that the ideal TV for me would be the one with channels from all over the world, so that I can practice other foreign languages. Okay, so I gave a different perspective of the debate, and that is also something I'm sure that the examiner will use for the debate. Okay, voilà, you could finish by saying voilà, mon exposé est fini et je suis prête pour le débat, just for them to know that you have finished, because when you say ce qui me permettrait de pratiquer d'autres langues étrangères, we don't know if you have finished, even if your voice goes down. So when you say voilà, mon exposé est fini et je suis prête pour le débat, or if you just say voilà, mon exposé est fini, or voilà, j'ai fini, or something like that, to indicate to the examiner that that's it. He or she can start the debate. Is the oral clearer now? I hope so. But before I finish, I would like to share with you my final tips, which are basically a recap of all the things we've seen earlier. But it's good to go through it as a reminder. First thing, use the time wisely. Very important, you have 30 minutes, but a lot to do. So make sure that you spend more time working on your plan, working on your parts, working on your ideas, introduction and conclusions. I don't want you to spend too much time on summarizing a text, because really you're going to be assessed on what you're going to present, and what you're going to present are your ideas. So you need to have plenty of them. Don't spend too much time on the text. Use the title to help you with the question. La problématique, you remember what we talked about? La problématique, what is the question you're going to raise? Very often it is in the title, and if it's not in the title, it's in the text. So try to find something which you know that you can work with. And remember, there isn't one problématique, there are problematics with an S, so there are possibilities. Don't forget to use connectors. Very often students just put sentences one after the other and forget to show that there's a logical sequence of events, and this can only be done with connectors, so please remember them. The conclusion should not have new ideas, and I say that because I often see conclusions with new ideas. You cannot have a conclusion with new ideas, because the conclusion is really a recap of all the things you have said. So if at the last minute you have a new idea, please do not put it in the conclusion. The only thing that we are going to see which is new in the conclusion is the little part, the final part, to broaden the debate. And that is because there is a debate, okay? Otherwise, just a recap of all the ideas you presented before. Nothing new. Remember to make notes, not sentences. If you have sentences made up and you read, you're going to be penalized. So just write down your notes. Do not copy and paste the text. What I mean is that I don't want you to, when you summarize, that you just copy the sentences and just say what is in the text. You have to find a way of, using your own words and finding a way of paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is to say what the author said using your own words. And the important thing here is to try to practice to talk for 7 minutes, because it's between 5 to 7 minutes. So try to practice for 7 minutes. And when I say 7 minutes, you time yourself. Don't think, oh, this is going to be 7 minutes. No, you have to time yourself. Use your cell phone and time yourself for 7 minutes. If you can't manage that, then you need to practice, because this is what's going to happen on the day. And remember, the 7 minutes doesn't include the debate. It's just what you're going to present to the examiner. Having said that, I would like to wish you all the best for your exam if you're taking it soon. And if you like the video, please like it, share it, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir!